I want to ask a question this morning. Why do the jihadists want to kill us? And when we are told by our politicians, our media, and the great and the good, and Islamic apologists and Islamic spokesmen that Islam is a religion of peace, are we being lied to? I want to read a verse from the Quran. And don't let the beard fool you, I haven't converted. I want to read a verse from the Quran that is always read, or parts of it are always read, whenever there's a terrorist attack, to prove that jihad is really nothing to do with Islam, and that these lunatics that are killing in the name of Islam are completely misguided. I just want to read the verses that are always quoted whenever there's a jihadist attack. So just bear with me. Reading from Surah 5 verse 32. We ordained for the children of Israel that if anyone killed a person, not in retaliation of murder, or to spread mischief in the land, it would be as if he killed all mankind. And if anyone saved a life, it would be as if he saved the life of all mankind. And I'll stop reading that verse there because the rest of it isn't really relevant to what we're going to look at here. Now, any scripture should be taken in context. The problem with the Quran is it's a very jumbled book, and it's difficult to take several verses together in context. But this verse, you don't need to read around it. The verse itself has a lot of clues as to what it really means. First of all, we ordained for the children of Israel. This verse relates to the children of Israel. It doesn't relate to the Muslims. It relates to the children of Israel. It says it in the verse. We ordained for the children of Israel. It doesn't say we ordained for the Muslims. Secondly, it talks about the justification for actually taking retaliatory action. Before it talks about if somebody killed a man, he says if he's killed the whole mankind, there are two exemptions. The first one is if the person killing is killing in retaliation for a murder. Now, that goes completely against the whole of the Western legal system, which does not allow for individual acts of retribution, but encourages the state to carry out individual acts of retribution. But then it goes on and gives an even stranger exemption, where it says you can kill someone, basically, that's what it's saying, you can kill someone if they've spread mischief in the land. Whatever that means. And it doesn't elaborate on it. And this is the very verse that Muslim apologists use, and the press use, and the politicians use to prove that Islam is a religion of peace. And within that verse itself, not even the text around it, I'm going to read one of the texts around it in a minute, but the verse itself gives those exemption clauses. You can kill someone who's murdered. Well, a lot of people wouldn't have a problem with that, but what about due process? What about law and order? What about been tried by your peers? There's none of that in here. And then, according to this verse, you can kill someone that's made mischief in the land. And how do you define making mischief in the land? Well, that really is open to interpretation. I'm going to read another verse. So remember, the verse that the Muslim apologists, that the media, that our politicians tell us proves that Islam is a religion of peace, actually teaches the exact opposite. But the next verse, Surah 5 verse 33. The recompense of those who wage war against Allah and his messenger, which is Muhammad, or allegedly Muhammad, and there we have it again, and do mischief in the land. Now remember, the verse that we've just read, we've been told proves that Islam is a religion of peace, also mentions mischief in the land. The recompense of those who wage war against Allah and his messenger and do mischief in the land is only that they shall be killed or crucified, or their hands and their feet cut off from opposite sides, or be exiled from the land. And the word translated killed there in this version of the Quran can also be translated murder. So, literally, the verses that the Muslim apologists and the government agencies and the journalists and the politicians and all the rest of them who are trying to cover up what's going on in our civilization within the Western world at the moment, the very verses that they're using to try and justify and prove that as they claim that Islam is a religion of peace, prove exactly the opposite. That is how crazy our world has got. And the fact that no journalist has got the guts to stand up and challenge these people on this, that no government agency has got the guts to go to the leadership of the Muslim community and challenge them on these verses within the Quran, shows that we are in a very, very desperate and dangerous place. People want to know why jihadists want to kill us. They want to kill us. They want to kill us because their scriptures tell them to kill us. They want to kill us because their prophet, the one they believe to be a prophet, tells them to kill us. Think about this. Listen to what Muhammad said. Killing unbelievers is a small matter to us. They're supposedly the words of Muhammad. Killing unbelievers is a small matter to us. What else did Muhammad say? He said, I have been victorious in terror. The Prophet of Islam and the scriptures of Islam teach the followers of Islam that it's okay to kill in the name of Muhammad, to kill in the name of Allah. So what do we do? What do we do as societies? Do we allow the cowardice to continue? Do we allow the duplicity, the sinister pandering to Islamic extremists? Do we allow that to continue? Or do we start having the debate? And that's all we want to do. We don't want to do anyone any harm. We don't want to attack anyone. We're not terrorists. We're against terrorists. But what we do want to do is at the very, very core and most fundamental level is challenge what jihadists believe and find out exactly where they are getting it from. We know where they're getting it from. They get it from the Quran. They get it from the Hadith. They get it from the life of Muhammad. They get it from 1400 years of jihad and Islamic culture and tradition. But we want to have that discussion and we want to have that debate. I met Lord Pearson almost 2 years ago now, and all Lord Pearson wants to do, so all he said to me, he said, all I want to do is talk about Islam. He says, why don't we just have a movement that can say, let's talk about Islam? And that conversation needs to be had. And it's incredible that almost 20 years after 9/11, 20 years after those terrorist attacks in New York, almost 15 years after 7/7, the worst terrorist attacks on the British mainland, after ISIS, after Al-Qaeda, after all the jihadi groups around the globe that are affiliated with ISIS and Al-Qaeda, they're all doing it because they believe that their scriptures are telling them to do it. And the fact that we can't even talk about this is scandalous. We must talk about Islam. We're not talking about doing anything violent or anything illegal. We're talking about debating a religion that is inspiring people to carry out heinous acts of terror. It's time to talk about Islam. We need to talk more about Islam, not less. See you all soon.